There's quite a bit of smoke. Let's make sure nothing's on fire. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Today we're gonna do some fun stuff on this car. I know you guys are probably wanting to see the E30, but sorry, we're gonna play with the 2002 a little bit because I think it looks cool with the stripes and it's gonna be cool. We're gonna put a cool motor in it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. All right, now we're gonna talk today about bushings. Our friends at Condor have sent us these bushings. It's an entire set for this car. For those that don't know what a bushing does, it's quite simple. So in the suspension, you've got lots of like hinge joints and all these joints that move around because the suspension moves, obviously. So while these things move, you have to, one, give them something to move with. It can't be metal on metal, and two, isolate some of the vibrations. Now, over time, these rubber bushings, they wear out pretty badly. They turn to just like super soft, kind of buttery rubber. What our friends at Condor have done is created these solid bushings. They flex a tiny bit, but I mean, you can hear them. They're pretty much solid. So this is going to replace all the bushings in the car. We do have rear subframe bushings. We have differential bushings. We have, these are all the bushings to the front end, so all the control arms. And we have the rear trailing arm bushings, which are on the subframe in the rear. So what we're going to do for this video is we're going to go for a drive. We're also going to take out our decibel meter and see how much noise comes from it, because by adding these solid bushings, we are going to introduce a little bit of NVH, which is noise and vibration and harshness, to the ride. So now, before we let the car down and go for a drive, I'm going to get underneath it and show you guys exactly what the bushing looks like and what happens when they go bad. Now, moving under the car, we're going to start with, I guess this is kind of a thrust arm or a control arm. You can see, so it pretty much attaches here to the spindle / control arm, and this is where it bolts to the body of the car, or the subframe. So they've, of course, isolated it with rubber bushings, and I'm just going to kind of show you guys how much it moves. I can tell the way this rubber is cracked that it's probably older than I am. So we've got bushings here, we've got bushings there, we've got bushings there. In the sway bars, there's bushings everywhere. So when they all wear out, it just leads to a ton of slop in the car. So with that, we're going to take it for a spin, kind of get a general idea of what the sloppiness feels like in the suspension, and then we're going to kind of get an idea of how much noise it makes with the old bushings so we can compare it to the solid bushings. Steering, of course. Worked out. Now this car does have lowering springs. It's on H&R lowering springs. It does have some Bilstein shocks that are pretty stiff. So there's no reason the car should have a ton of play in it to begin with. It's not like it's on 50-year-old stock suspension. There's quite a bit of smoke. Let's make sure nothing's on fire. Quite a bit of smoke. No fires. Not on fire. All right, so I'm thinking we'll get up to speed. We'll do like 45 to 50, which we won't know how fast it is because the speedometer, of course, does not work. So we'll hold it at like $4 grand. Oh, baby, go. Third gear. Fourth and fifth, okay. I would say average 77 to 78 decibels. We are going a little bit uphill, so that'll add some engine load to it. Oh, we got a shit on this guy. All right, so 77 decibels is what we'll call it. Now we'll go back, install all the bushings, and try it again. Moving under the car, we're gonna do the front end first. These should be pretty easy. I think these will kind of fall out, whereas the rear, we might have to get the blowtorch out, but you know, we'll burn that bridge when we get there. I have no doubt. I don't know if they're original. I don't know if I'd say that. They might be completely gone if they're original. They could be, but definitely significantly older than I am. At the other end of this, we have a ball joint that feels good. There's no play in it. So bushing there, bushing there, bushing there, and that concludes the front end. Now we have quickly and effortlessly dropped out the rear subframe. That was actually quite the opposite of that. We had to bust the welder out, a lot of pry bars, a lot of hammers, a couple days. So rear subframe's finally out. We're gonna do our subframe bushings themselves, and then we've got all the trailing arm bushings. These are what's going to make the biggest difference, because these are like the first bushing between where the power is transferred kind of from the wheels to the car. So these are going to make a big difference. Usually when the subframe's out, people like to take it apart and powder coat it and paint it, and I just think that that's just so dumb, because like you're never going to see it again. It was like when I painted my transmission, when I put it in the E30, I painted it just so in the picture of the engine going in the car it looked good, and then you never know the difference. So we're not going to do that. It's not rusty or anything, so I'm going to pop these in and finish this job up. Subframe is back in. That was like the worst job I think we've ever done. I hate doing bushings. I hate suspension. Out of like any car project, suspension is the worst, and then bushings is like the worst of that. You have to burn them all out. Take a look at the bushings. They all had to come out with a blowtorch. They look terrible. We've actually decided after this, if I have to do bushings on another car, I'm just going to drop it off at the shop and let them do it, because this has been like a 2-week hiatus of, I mean, I guess I could have knocked it out if I really wanted to, but I just hate doing it. So anyways, we're all done. We're gonna torque the wheels down, hop in the car, take it for a drive, and see what falls apart. Just checking to make sure everything's still there, the engine's still there. Ready to go, get ready for the smoke show again, I'm sure. And a side note, check out our new flags. I really like the flags. I'm really excited about the flags. But we're missing one in the middle, and I had a Ferrari flag, and it was like way bigger than the other flags, and I was just like, all right, that's Ferrari being assholes. They won't make a standard size flag. And I kind of want to keep it German anyway, so let us know. We're trying to decide between Audi or Mercedes. I think Mercedes because I have more heritage, but let us know in the comments. Now, I think we should be good, because this was all the bolts and stuff we had left over from it, but I think it'll be fine. All right, smoke show. Definitely a very prevalent exhaust leak again. Not running too well. I think it's warming up. It's just time to come out. It's just time for a better motor. What a stupid dog that. On the front end, I had to unbolt the sway bar, and the bolts were so rusted on the end links that it just snapped it in half. So we don't have a front sway bar right now. Jalen's gonna be very upset. We broke his car, but I can feel it. I can definitely feel the lack of a sway bar. I can definitely hear. I can hear something. Yeah, maybe we forgot to tighten something. All right. Second gear. Let's go. About 77 is our average. Oh, no brakes. Okay. Into third, into second. Okay, it's ready. We did a lot of work to it. The car ran real good. All right, guys, she's all done. There's a little clunk from the back end. I don't know what that's about. We're going to bleed the rear brakes so Jalen doesn't crash it tomorrow. For our next video, Jalen's going to be driving it again. But other than that, I would say it was a success, and now it's kind of ready for a bigger powertrain to go into. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys next time.